Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell. Welcome to this episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast. I'm Sara, the founder of the Sisters Enchanted.
Hi there, I'm Anna, the co-founder of the Sisters Enchanted.
You don't sound so sure about that.
It's because you were having me laugh before we started. Now I'm not in podcast zone.
Said the funny thing.
Ever. Did I say the funny thing?
You said a funny thing, inciting the laughter. On today's episode of Magic on the Inside, we are talking about the Aquarius Full Moon. So Anna, well, listen, you know that your girl here is an Aquarius moon.
Yes.
Are you excited about this full moon?
No.
Why not?
Well, traditionally speaking, I find Aquarius energy to be confronting. And that's just me personally. And oftentimes I don't appreciate it coming from people.
Well,
that's that face you make. You just made that face that you make.
Which face would that be?
The serious face. Like the face that you make when I'm in trouble.
I do not have a face. You like to tell me I have a face, but I don't have a face.
I'm going to go back during this podcast and I'm going to screenshot when you make the face and I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to make a meme out of it. And every time I have some serious words for you, I'm going to place it in our text messaging.
Okay. Well, I am an Aquarius moon and I think that this is nonsensical.
Yeah, until it happens. And then it's amusing and very
and it will be amusing. All right. Well, listen, this lunar cycle is a Cancer new moon lunar cycle. If you listened to that episode a few weeks back. And at that time, we set intentions. We talked a lot about nurturing oneself, feelings, like mothering yourself. And here we are now at the Aquarius full moon, where we're both releasing and creating. Now, on the day that the moon is full in Aquarius, the moon starts that day in Capricorn. And Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer. So while the moon's the fullest in Aquarius, we do have on that same day a lot of Capricorn energy happening. So that's a lot of this, like, it's the assertive, kind of authoritative energy. And then you get into Aquarius and it's this, like, I don't know, it's a hard to pin down sort of too much thinking, big ideas, always right. One, like my ideas are so right, so big, they must be correct kind of energy.
I was going to say, it's kind of assertive in its own way.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that having this nurturing energy and then coming to the Aquarius full moon, though, I think you could really look at the stuff that got in the way of you mothering yourself and caring for yourself this lunar cycle and use some of that assertive, big thinking energy to look at your own circumstance in a bigger picture and see how helping yourself is really going to help everybody. But use that, like, I am right energy in a directed way to advocate for yourself if your intentions for the first part of the lunar cycle or around this Cancer new moon didn't really come to pass for you. And if they didn't come to pass, be sure to listen to last week's episode where we talked about why intentions fail. Yes, that. So yeah, Anna, do you want to tell us a little bit more about just Aquarius energy in general? You are our head of astrology things, after all. Is that what you are?
Apparently. The Virgo stellium in me doesn't like titles like that, but I understand where it comes from.
I understand why you must be titled.
I won't title myself. I must be titled. and then hope to rise to the occasion, as my Leo midheaven declares. So Aquarius, yeah, it's like what you said. It is a very I'm not gonna say that. It is a very confident sign. One that definitely, because we are talking about Aquarius here, we are talking about air, which always makes me laugh because Aquarius looks like a water sign, but it's not a water sign. It's an air sign. And
it's supposed to be like wind, do you think?
Well, it's the water bearer in the constellations.
Oh, I guess that makes more sense than my wind idea.
It's kind of a tragic story.
Yeah.
For another time.
Yeah, I'm recalling this.
Yes. I believe some Zeus shenanigans are intertwined with this story, as they tend to be. Yeah, Aquarius energy, it is, so you have that air idea, so that means very much we're talking about like intellect, communication, and because it has this kind of air about it. I'm so good at that. It tends to be really hyper focused on like their creative thinking. So they want to really dive into ideas that are bigger than themselves, and looking at, theories and different ways of looking at things until they can critical think all the way down into finding out what their own idea is. And then when they have their own idea or whatever idea they believe in or agree with, it then becomes a part of their, almost like their personality, to then try to get the people closest to them to believe what they think is right, and to be the name in that. Like, I believe that the earth is round. And if you all have questions about why the earth is round, I want you to come to me so I can teach you the way that I believe it with the facts that I believe to be true. And because of this, a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Leaders, spiritual leaders, group leaders tend to be Aquariuses because they want to be looked up to and they want to be believed. They want their words, air sign, to become fact. They want their beliefs to become fact, and they want everybody else to believe it because they want larger than life. They want to be a part of that and then be the words for that.
So is that my problem in life? But I'm an Aquarius moon. So is it the same? I don't feel like now I have to do shadow work.
Well, yeah, likely. So we can do some here together.
You know how much like this. Well, let's just pause for a second, because in our model of teaching, we do shadow work at the full moon.
Yes. So
that makes perfect sense.
So your moon, Sarah, for instance, is like is your emotional center. It's how like you defend yourself in the world. It's how you act when you're feeling vulnerable. It's how you act when put into a corner or confronted in a way that makes you uncomfortable. And for you, it often displays as serious face as I stutter astrologically through this. This is why I don't read for Sarah or family members. That for you, it represents as, and you work really hard for this because Sarah oftentimes will stop and say, I see that you're upset. And she will recognize that other people are. But sometimes in Sarah, that manifests as people are hurt, but I'm hurt, and this is why I'm hurt. And it doesn't always leave space for other people to share their hurt because it circles back to Sarah's hurt. And Sarah knows that, and it's like a vicious cycle. And that's why it's shadow work, because in that Aquarius moon, her hurt is the most prevalent hurt. My hurt is my truth, and you all need to believe my hurt and my truth. And sometimes it puts a shadow on other people's feelings or how other people are hurt. It doesn't leave a lot of room for open communication. And Sarah shared this a lot with her husband because they're both Aquarius moons and they both have very different hurts. And so when they talk to each other, neither one of them recognizes the other one's hurt because they both so much believe in their hurt and that their hurt is truth. And that's the reason why there's so much hurt. So, and it's a very individual, and this is why, you know, sometimes the moon can be shadowy. There's a light and a dark to every side. And Sarah very much tries to balance the light and the dark of that Aquarius moon nature, where she tries to stop for a second, take a deep breath and notices that. But the Aquarius is a very like, I am, you know, like and sometimes the I am hurt overshadows the fact that more than one person are hurt. And then, yeah.
For sure. I also have Jupiter in Aquarius. So one of the things that we talk about when it's a moon and there's these like new moon, full moon forecasts, what to expect, is always looking at your birth chart to see what is in Aquarius for you. And if you say, I don't have any planets in Aquarius, that's fine. Aquarius is in a house in your birth chart still. So whatever house that it's in, and mine is in the 8th house. Death, sex, and taxes, right? And my Jupiter and my moon are both in there. So the full moon, it's going to be really where the sun is illuminating our outer world, the full moon's illuminating your inner stuff. So any inner stuff that you have attached to what sign it's in might be shown here. And what I said about the beginning of this in terms of intentions that you may have set, the Cancer moon, maybe around self-care or boundaries. Here, look at what is being illuminated in Aquarius for you, because there can be some clues there as to what needs to be let go of to create more. And one of my things for the new moon in Cancer was to look for the good in the now. So for me, to expand that Jupiter energy, which is expansion that I have in that house of death, sex, and taxes, but my moon is also there. So in particular for me, my shadow stuff can like tear that down super fast, but really looking at looking for the good, you know, nurturing myself by stopping and looking for the good. That's the opposite of my Aquarius moon, because my Aquarius moon, again, wants to be right. And it's not that's not looking for the good, but like will hammer an issue until it's been hammered way past the ground level deep down. And so that could show me, though, if I didn't follow through with my intention, that Aquariusness, like I've maybe only expanded on the shadowy stuff for myself because I am an Aquarius moon, but for, you know, wherever. So Anna, what's in Aquarius for you?
Well, for me, it's an even harder kind of situation because I have it on my 4th house cusp, but I have no planets. And that house is immediately intercepted in Pisces. So it's like Aquarius for like a degree, and then it's Pisces, which makes it even more challenging because the house has so much Pisces energy in it, but the ruler of the cusp is Aquarius, which then in of itself creates a conflict of energies. So
like if you set intentions at the Cancer new moon, whatever those were, whether it was around boundaries or self-care, whatever your intentions were, looking at that 4th house situation for you to see what's being illuminated. And that can help you to see what you need to release in order to create the thing that you wanted to create.
For me, like for instance, you know, that Pisces nature might be talking about how my house and my foundations are more in flow with each other than I think that they are, because that I have Aquarius on that cusp there that I might believe so wholeheartedly that it's supposed to be a certain way that I don't recognize the fluidness that's actually happening in there, because I'm seeing it more rigidly than I need to be, and that in itself causes its own confusion just because of how that's laid out. And I wanted to say too, and I may have lost the thought, I want to make sure that I get it out there, that if you're an Aquarius and you feel attacked, don't, because you have to remember too that I was saying that a lot of times when there's you know, big things happening or people are learning a new big theme, a lot of times Aquariuses are at the helm of that. And sometimes, you know, it is a shadowy aspect when they don't relent or they don't give space for other people, but sometimes they're such big dreamers and believers that they're the ones that set new ideas into motion, and that's like also very much needed. So I just wanted to like clarify that, just because sometimes, especially we were talking about Sarah, we're talking about a moon, which tends to be more of a shadowy aspect, that if you're an Aquarius and you're feeling confronted, that also those big believers and those big thinkers and leaders are also appreciated and much needed oftentimes. And it just depends on how you're living in that energy.
Yeah, my Aquarius moon, if I'm feeling defensive, I am totally like, you need to hear why I'm feeling defensive. I'm going to tell you all about it.
Right.
I'm going to take up a lot of space with that. And
Right.
also though, that Aquarius moon nature for me will, because that where it is for me, that 8th house of death, sex, and taxes, it's the idea that it's like a right, and like money dealings that come like money and like physical.
Yeah, but it's also deeply passionate house, and where you want to like really dig some roots down into, and it's also like other people's money and breaking things down and building new structures.
Right. And so for me though, in terms of that Aquarius moon though, that the same way that when I feel really passionate about being heard about a way that I'm feeling and think that I'm right, that piece, because of the placement in my house, that other people's money piece in terms of being a business owner, I am just as passionate about the stuff that's in the way for everybody else. So like, if I really feel like, no, you gotta listen to me, you need to set intentions, you need to do this thing, you need to make the space, like do the meditate, do whatever. I am just as passionate about being heard about that as I am about my own, which is why though that so yeah, there's the light and the shadow to everything. So when I'm feeling defensive, it's definitely a shadowy thing. But the light part of that is that piece of like, listen to what I have to say also will, is very helpful.
Well, that's the amazing thing about astrology really, is because that 8th house there is originally, organically speaking, ruled by Scorpio, and you use that word passionate there so much, and that is something that goes with Scorpio, that passion, that need to really have like connections and be deeply invested in other people and other things. And so when you have that as your underlying pie crust, like Sarah has said in the past, that Scorpio energy, and then you stick Sarah's Aquarius in there, that's why with Sarah it does come out sometimes even more of a shadowy aspect, because she is so passionate about telling you her side. She is so passionate about the business and the commitments that she has, that she will defend them at all costs. And that's a very Scorpio underlying energy to have. And then you put Aquarius over that, it's just even more of like, I'm the boss of this house. I am the boss of these things. I am the boss of my emotions. I am the boss of your emotions. And like that, but that's the beauty of it all, is because that's the nature. That's how you see it unraveling in your chart, and how it manifests in you is like, why am I that way? Well, because originally, Scorpio is in there with its pinchers and need for things. And then you put that Aquarius over there that has a different kind of need for things. And then that's how you become Sarah, because that's uniquely your chart and your energy.
So if you've not been listening in on Fridays, Anna and our one of our other astrology teachers, our program director, Sarah Milne, they have been putting out a weekly astro forecast for the week ahead. So I would totally listen in on there and see what they say too about this full moon action. But it is an Aquarius. So the thing we want you to do is look at where Aquarius is in your birth chart. Anna, what's like 2 things that you think somebody should do under an Aquarius full moon, that Aquarius energy?
Learn something new. I think learn something new, but learn something new by reading from information that you would typically read from, but then also read from information or learn from information or a site that you wouldn't read from typically, and navigate your own thoughts on it. So learn something new. And after that, I would say open up possibly for a friendly debate.
A friendly debate.
Find your topic of choice, and then find somebody who has thoughts on it that are not similar to yours, or maybe are similar but with a little bit of differences, and then to actually have a productive conversation about it and try to leave space for the other person.
Skip your house that weekend, because your husband loves
a debate,
to be right in a conversation. What's in his Aquarius?
I'd have to look. I don't have that information in front of me.
Because he really enjoys me, right?
Shadow work though, speaking, you should have met him when he was like 12, 13, because he really had to be right. Now in his adulthood, there's some space to be wrong. Now he likes a good debate because he wants to be proven wrong, but he'll still really stick it to you until you do.
Yeah, he likes to be heard with when he thinks he's right.
Yeah.
Don't we all though?
It's one of the things I disliked about him the most when we were younglings. Was his need to be right. I hated it.
Speaking of learning, we have a free 3-day tarot class happening this weekend.
Yeah.
It's online. We're going to stream it in our Facebook group, our Expedition to Soul Facebook group, and also on YouTube. So you can find it in both of those places. And the first day is teaching about like the ins and outs of what tarot is. The third day is doing, we're going to actually do a reading. And I'm at a loss of what that second day is off the top of my head, but it's 3 days, and it is, it's Friday, I believe July 23rd, 24th, 25th. So you can get registered for that. The link will be on our blog, thesistersenchanted.com/blog, the blog post for this, or probably in the show notes, wherever you're watching. And to round us out, I also pulled 2 cards just while you were talking as a little message for us. And I got the Queen of Pentacles and the Hermit for this full moon. So maybe, I don't know, what do you think? Well, the nurturing from the beginning of the lunar cycle, and then going within to see what's coming up.
Sounds like a time of some self-investment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like learning new things.
Yes, there you go. All right then. So thesistersenchanted.com/blog. Look at the show notes and you can get registered for the 3-day tarot class we have coming up just this weekend, right at the full moon. And also to catch those astro forecasts, you can find them all over our social media, wherever you can find us. But if you download our Sisters Enchanted app from your app store, or you can get the desktop browser version as well, if you don't want to get one on your phone. Phone one's pretty cool, I will say. We have the astro forecast every week along with the notes typed out. So you can read them super succinct and clear in the app. We also keep the Sabbath guides, tarot spreads, our blog and podcast episodes can also be found in our app, and you can download it on the App Store. You just search the Sisters Enchanted, and you can also head to thesistersenchanted.com/app to access it on a browser. So free class, thesistersenchanted.com/blog for the most recent show notes. Register there and then grab the app, y'all, while you're at it. And a happy new moon, full moon, new moon. Oh my gosh, I just went back in time. Happy full moon.
Happy full moon.
All right. Until next time, we hope that you have an enchanted
rest of your day ahead.
Woo.
Woo.
Bye.